Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Jobberman Virtual Career Fair 2020. I'm Zina Numudu, and I'll be your host today for this session. This session is titled Career Pathing for the Future, Creating the Change, Overcoming the Gender Bias in the Workplace as you navigate your career. So today, our goal is basically to examine the 21st century professional woman, and we're going to be speaking opportunities for growth and advice, and just giving tips on how to navigate the job industry and how to thrive. So I've just done a mini introduction for myself, and I'd like to pass it on to our panelists to please introduce themselves to our audience. I'd like to start with Ibijoke, please.
Sure. Hi, thank you so much. My name is Ibijoke, and I work in the international development space. I currently run a political advancement organization that is focused on getting women into politics in Nigeria, called Electar, and also consult from time to time with the government as well on foreign relations.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Next, can we move on to Tina, please?
Okay, good morning, everyone. I work as a technology sales manager at Oracle, and I'm very happy to be a part of this session.
Thank you. Next, we have Amolmi.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amolmi Martins. I head the marketing and branding function for Anderson Tax in Nigeria, and I also coordinate for Africa. I'm glad to be on here today.
Thank you. And next we have Mobola.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Mobola. I'm a lawyer partner. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, my name is Mobola Akinkugbe, partner A02 Law, and
yes,
I head the real estate, infrastructure, and transports team of A02 Law practice, and I'm glad to be speaking here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Ambassador Sonia.
Hello.
Hi, Hilda. Thank you for joining us. We're just going by all the panelists, and everyone is doing a brief introduction. If you could just introduce yourself to the panel.
Oh, my name is Hilda Kabushenga Kraga, and I am the MD for Rome Africa Jobs. Previously, I still am the CEO of Jobberman Nigeria, although I'm transitioning out. I've got about 10 years of experience in strategy consulting with KPMG and McKinsey, mostly focused on strategy building, organizational behavior, and talent management. I'm also super passionate about human capital in Africa overall, and trying to get young people better opportunities and better work improved pathways to work.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, we have Ambassador Sonia. If you could please introduce yourself as well.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Ambassador Sonia Agu. I'm the founder of the SAPIO Club. I'm also an Encourage Youth and Women Ambassador, amongst other things. I'm a social entrepreneur, very passionate about Nigeria and Africa's development. Thank you. Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next, I think we have Ikeneba who just joined us. We haven't started the panel yet. Everyone is just giving brief introductions. So if you could please introduce yourself. We can't hear you. Your mic is...
Yes, I just realized I was muted. So hi, my name is Ukinebo Dare. I work in Edo State as the managing director of the Edo State Skills Development Agency. We're popularly known as Edo Jobs. My role is just to create jobs in Edo State, in short. Yeah.
Okay, great. I think we've made our way through most introductions. I think there's just one person missing, but will be joining us shortly. So I'll just start by, beginning the session and asking questions. I'd like to pass my first question to Maumi, because I can see your face there first. Here's your
That's
question.
fine.
In our world today, especially in the corporate world, where competitive nature is very prevalent, a lot of women have risen career-wise and have carved a niche for themselves. So for you, how would you define your own success story, and how have you been able to thrive in such a competitive environment?
All right, thank you so much, Zina, for that question. I really don't know if I'm successful quite yet. I'm on my way there. But I do believe that my journey has actually been quite interesting, and the reason I say it's been quite interesting is because I did do my undergrad and my MBA in the United States, so it gave me kind of a diverse view on on how to see things and how to proceed with things. And I think I've always said, I grew up in a family where we were all girls. There was no barrier for us. My parents treated us like we were all, we were just children. It wasn't like you were male or you were female. It was just that you're a child and you had to proceed, you had to be successful. I do believe that how I have been able to adjust myself, especially moving back to Nigeria, is by being, cautious of the environment, because you cannot be in Nigeria and not be cautious of the environment in which you're in. You have to be very cautious of the environment. I remember when I first moved back and I was working for an organization. I think I had the most difficult time in the organizations, because a lot of times I was telling myself, no, in America, we don't do this, or in America, we don't do that. And soon after, I did realize that things don't work out that way in Nigeria. So my success story, or the journey to my success, is number one, I always make sure that I survey my environment. I'm very conversant with my environment. I try to read the environment, and also I try to look at people that motivate me, people I can look up to that have done exactly what I have done or what I'm trying to do. And then I emulate them in what they've done and try and encourage people around me. I also try to be a good leader in my, in my space, whatever space I find myself. I try to encourage the females around me. Funny enough, my team at work, they're mainly all females. I think we just have one guy. So that's really what I do to, to try and become a success story. I don't think I'm quite successful yet, but I'm on my way to being successful. And that's really how I navigate my journey. It's just by understanding my environment and knowing that there's no barrier for me. I can progress and I can do whatever I put my mind to do, whether it's, whatever situation I find myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such an honest and insightful answer. My next question is directed at you, Kinibo. So you said basically that your job is employing people in the states, in Edo State. What are the most common mistakes you've noticed young people are making, especially ladies, regarding their career decisions? If you can just share a personal experience from you or from, the young people you've been mentoring and hiring in Edo State.
Oh, thank you. I think, okay, there's so many examples, but as somebody who has been working, to connect people to jobs and help them kickstart their careers for over 10 years now, I would say the major mistake I see a lot of people make is that they work according to, their level of work ethic or their level of commitment to the job is a response, but is a response to things outside of them. And for me, I think that's a big mistake. I think that everybody should be working in response to what they're capable of, should be working in response to an acknowledgement of who they are on the inside. So you find a lot of young people say things like, oh, yes, I'm just going to do it this way because I'm not being paid enough, or my boss doesn't appreciate me, so I will just do what I can, or they don't like me because I'm a woman, so I'm also going to, give it to them like that. But what that ends up doing is that it creates some, for me, or my observation is that it creates this stunted growth, because at every point in time, my level of performance is dependent on the people around me. But instead, I believe, and I teach all the time, that every individual in the workplace, in the career, in business, should work according to what they know they are made of, what they know they have on the inside, and everything you do should be an expression of who you are. Then that way, it doesn't matter if the current organization values you or not, somebody somewhere will see that value and will be that's how career progression takes place. So that for me is a big experience. Would be I don't know, yeah, okay, when I was doing my MSc. Hello? Hello? Can you guys hear me and see me?
You're back now. We can hear you and see you.
Yeah, we can hear you and see you now.
Okay, sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Disconnected for a second.
Great. Sorry, that was the network glitch example of when I was an NYS, doing my NYSC many years ago. And I think that was where I first realized this difference, because just like Mommy said, my upbringing had a very strong impact on the way I work, on the way I see, my career. And I grew up with parents who are workaholics. It was never really, I never heard them have conversations of, oh, my boss is using my head or things like that. So even though my fellow core members were all like, oh, we are earning the peanuts and they earn the Amaba salaries, why should we work harder than they work? I just always found myself putting, my everything into my work. And it's opened a lot of big doors for me, even as somebody who was just a copper. Things that even the regular employees were trying to get, I was getting that affecting me negatively, because even though I was in IT, which was a male-dominated field, because of how much work I put in, I always found myself at the forefront of things. So I really do believe that a lot of stereotypes people have gender stereotypes, people have tribe stereotypes, and all that. You can overcome a lot of those things by just making yourself the best. I mean, giving your own best at every single point in time and being focused on solving problems rather than what other people are doing. So that's it in summary.
Thank you so much for going into detail and being very transparent with that. My next question is going to Mobola. So my question for you is, how can women own their ambition at work and get ahead? What kind of steps should they take to level up their career? How do you feel women should navigate this space? And again, just speaking about how you work in law, so that sometimes there's some pushbacks and it can be a male-dominated industry, if we're being honest. So what's your advice?
I mean, the only way to navigate what you call the pushback is to push through. Really. That would be the answer to the question. The only way to push back is to push through, really, because you will not get what you do not go for, and there would always be pushbacks regardless. I mean, circumstances, life is a pushback in itself. COVID-19 is a pushback in itself, but, we just always have to find ways to really push through the circumstances. And really, that would be my answer. Short, but that would be my answer. Yes, thank you.
No, I actually like your answer. It's very succinct. It's like, it sounds like a quote. When they push back, push through. It's very, I really like that. It makes a lot of sense to me, at least, and I'm hoping it does to our audience. My next question is for Ibijoke. Looking back maybe 5 to 10 years, how far has the Nigerian job market come in becoming more gender inclusive? especially in the wake of COVID-19, for example? How do you think this has had an impact on job opportunities for women?
Thank you. This conversation is very interesting because I was discussing with a friend yesterday, just talking about how we sort of live by some certain stereotypes in Nigeria where we feel like we need to see our employees every single day. So over the past 10 years, 10 to 11 years, I've actually worked as an employee. And now that I'm an employer, for me, it's thinking about the future of work. And the question is, I have a nursing mom, Tim. Is it fair for me to tell her to come to work every day when I feel like she can get the job done in our own house? And secondly is, Mobola, Uki, you guys, you sort of like reiterated a lot of things talking about, your capacity and your delivery as well. I kind of feel like as employers, when your employee commits to excellence, you don't need to mandate them to come to work every day. There should be flexible working. Taking it back to like the growth of gender in terms of like the workforce over the past 5 to 10 years, obviously we're not where we used to be. One benchmark for me was earlier this year when Transcorp, I think Transnational Corporation, now I don't know what they're called as a group, nominated four women to their top executive positions. And that was a proper reflection of where we are as a country and sort of like our journey forward as well. The more we see women at the top, I think the more it inspires, the coming generation as well. So you're seeing more people just look at, you're seeing the Tony and Sonny, you're seeing a lot of women come, rise up beyond just the gender status nowadays. Looking more at, it's more competency based now. And honestly, Nigeria right now, in my circle, I'm surrounded by so many passionate young women who are doing so well. And you can't really cover that up. You can't overshadow that. They're so strong, they're so confident. As Uki said, you go for it.
Hello? I'm not sure if it's frozen on my end or...
It's frozen.
No, it's freezing on. Yeah, might need to.
I was just checking. Okay, so I'll just wait for her to come back in. But now we're getting a bunch of questions from the audience. So I'm just going to basically read through the questions and see who I can throw them at. I think Ambassador Sonia, you may be the best to answer this particular question. Someone is asking, how do you overcome imposter syndrome as someone who's new in the corporate world and never feeling like they're doing enough? I know with your organization, you work with a lot of industry leaders. So I think you're the best to kind of give feedback on this.
Yeah, so thanks for having me again. Just like my previous panelist said, the only way to push back is to actually push through.
That's now
you need to believe in yourself. So like, I think that's the highlight of my. I'm also feeling it, if I can, or if she permits me rather. So I think you need to believe in yourself, like above everything, because there will be times when you would doubt yourself. There are times when people would just believe in yourself, long and short. I'm gonna take her approach as well. Believe in yourself. Be willing to fail. Like failure is part of the process. When you fail, you learn, you get up. Never take no for an answer. When one door closes, you try and figure it out another way and just keep going. So that's I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you so much. And then the next question I'm sending over to Mrs. Tina. Someone is asking, how do you blend well and be perfect with managing your office front and managing the home front? It seems like it's always a battle for people and they just want to know if there's a formula to it, or is it that there's no formula and we should just work with if we should just push through. I feel like that's the answer for most of the questions today.
That's actually a fantastic question. And I actually get asked this question very often. In truth, balancing your work life and your home front is a challenge for a lot of women. And for me, I think the first thing I started out was by accepting that regardless of, I hope you can hear me clearly because my network has been acting up.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so regardless of you wanting to be 100% perfect, both in your work life, in your career and your home, you have to define what you call success. And that allows you to sort of balance out what is critical to you, what's important to you, what's priority, and every other thing. For me, what I have done is, first of all, decided that I wasn't going to use other people's yardsticks to define myself. And I decided that since I have identified that winning and being successful in my career important to me, it means that I have to put certain things into place. It means I have to have a great support system. It means that I have to accept that I will not always be there for critical family functions. But will I do my best on both fronts? Yes. So it's really up to you. You know, back to the person who asked the question, it's up to you. You start first by defining, you know, what you want to be, who you want to be, and what success means to you. And what in 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, if you look back, you would say to yourself that I don't feel cheated as an individual or as a woman. I think, I hope that answers. Can you hear me?
Zina?
Yes, you're back now. Hello?
Okay, okay. I'm not sure if you heard my answer.
Yeah, we did.
I think we definitely got the gist of it. We heard you.
Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you. My next question is thrown at Hilda. Hilda, you've mentioned that you're very passionate about your job and the human capital and the workspace. Someone here is asking, how do you start up in an industry without the fear of starting late? For example, the fashion industry and the makeup industry already have so many key players and a lot of people in it. We've been told that the sky is wide enough for every bird, but that's just a saying. What tools do we implement to guide us through?
So I'd say for me, especially for people in unstructured industries that we mentioned, there's like, it's a three-legged stool we need to nail, right? The first piece is around your technical skill, in the sense, are you a makeup artist? Are you a designer? Are you a tailor? You need to be good at that skill. That's the first thing. So having a sound technical skill that is good enough for you to take to the market. If it's not good enough to take the market, you need to keep doing some practice or get an apprenticeship. But if you know your skill enough is going to take to the market, then the next leg of the stool is to peg on is now digital skills. Reason being, with the advent of social commerce, it's the great equalizer. We all know people who on Instagram have started out as one tailor that now have 100 tailors, or even more than 100, like a 5K shop, for example. Deborah's Grace, all these people have grown from just being single tailors on Instagram, which is free, and just being able to market their products. So digital skills becomes the next thing that you need to tack on. The third thing is financial literacy, and that's because if you're in an unstructured industry, it means that gig work is more common than full-time work. And because of that, you need to understand how to balance your revenue when you have revenue coming in versus the downtime, which will inevitably come when you don't have gigs. Understanding that, you need to save, you need to invest. This is what it takes for my business to survive, gives you that security that even when I don't have a gig or I don't have a project, I still have something to live off. So if you're able to combine your technical skill, making it sound good enough to take to the market, your digital skills, the fact that social commerce is a great equalizer and it's a route for you to take your product to market, no matter who you are, if it's good enough. All you do is an Instagram page, a Facebook page, and a lot of your own dedication to make sure you push and you follow and you engage, you will get customers and you'll be able to showcase your work. That financial literacy, to understand that even though this month I've made a killing, next month might be nothing, and I need to make sure my revenue can spread out to cover even the downtimes. That for me is the nucleus of being successful in an unstructured industry, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you're self-employed initially. If you start from there, then you can scale up and you'll take a whole different direction.
Thank you so much for the feedback here, because I feel like, especially like you said, these industries are unstructured. So a lot of times people just believe because there's no structure, there's no barriers to entry, and they don't think about actually honing their skills and, you know, being ready for the career path they're taking. So I feel like your response was very insightful, and I hope it helped the person who asked that question. And next, Omomi, I haven't heard your voice in a while, so I'm just going.
Zena?
This question at you. Me?
You're freezing up on me. Okay, I can hear you now.
So my question for you is, what do you do in a work environment that is owned by expatriates who mainly give you tasks that seem limiting and don't project one's job description? I feel like this is a very specific question, but you know, you have experience working abroad and home, so I just feel like this is something you can answer for me.
Okay, so what do you do, if I got your question right, what do you do in an organization where expatriates?
Mainly, people believe that expatriates are being given most of the tasks, and that the local staff, the tasks seem quite limiting, and they don't necessarily project one's job description or qualification.
Okay, so well, that happens a lot, right? Where, especially in Nigeria, where we have expatriates and, you know, Nigerians working. I did work for an organization where we had a lot of expatriates, and more task was given to the expatriates. One of the things I did realize was I needed to do my job and do it very well, and also project myself. You know, at the end of the day, I don't, you know, I don't want to use the word, but for lack of a better word, I don't care what someone else does. I care about what I do and how it affects the, you know, the turnout of the organization, turnout of my job. So I really focus on my job and try and do it to the best of my ability. And also I seek out tasks. So sometimes some people just sit back and don't look for tasks. In the when you're working and you don't have a lot of jobs, you know, a lot of tasks to do, I think you should, you know, one of the things I normally will do is to step up to my manager and ask, you know, what else can I do? By the time you ask the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time, you know, someday the manager is going to get tired and tell you, you know what, here, you know, go do this. And if you do it well and do it excellently, I think someone mentioned that earlier, you know, about having excellence in your job. You know, if you do your work excellently, they have no choice but to come back to you. What I've always realized is you should be a problem solver. So you get somewhere, you're a problem solver, whether they like it or not, they're going to come looking for you. We have jobs in Nigeria where, you know, people are essential commodities. I have people on my team where, you know, they're essential to me, you know, to me churning out my job. So I don't take them for granted. And I think that that's what we should all strive for, to be excellent at what we do, so that when we're doing it, we are recognized for that. And then once we're recognized for that, they have no choice but, you know, to pass on tasks to us. So that's the way I see it. Just be excellent at whatever you do, and also just make sure, you know, you're asking. Just don't sit back and say, well, you know, they're giving it to an expatriate, so I'm not going to do anything. And also, one of the things I also want to say is, don't think a task is too small. Sometimes people think, oh, this is too small for me, I'm not going to do it. Why did they give him that much work and they gave me this, you know, this small work? You know, whatever work you find on your lap, just do it and do it well. And from there, you know, you graduate and move on to another task, and then bigger tasks will come. So just, you know, just do whatever you're doing and do it very well.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think amazing answer, but just to add on to that, a lot of people, us think that at work you get rewarded for doing your job. And the truth is that's why you have a salary. People who get ahead in the workplace, whether male or female, especially female, are going over and beyond. You have to take initiative. If you've been given a task, there's a difference between somebody who does that task and just does it. Well, there's not doing it. There's doing it mediocre. There's doing it well. Then there's taking the time, the presence of mind, as you said, problem solving, to say, what is the question we're trying to answer? What's the problem here? The data or this task I've done, does it answer this question, or is another question? If not, what's the next step to actually get to the place where my supervisor, my superior can take a decision using this data? And so when you present it like, oh, you asked me to do this, But upon doing that, I realized A, B, C, D avenues. And so I took this initiative. Not to say you take decisions that are above you, but at least give even more data than you've been asked for, or go that extra mile. People that make it ahead are ahead of the curve because they're doing more of, they're taking ahead an initiative, they're taking everything a step further than what they've been asked. Doing your job well is a good thing, but it's expected. That's why your salary. You need to go over and above, even if it means, as you said earlier, even if it means asking for those opportunities.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to pass the next question to you because you've been nodding a lot. So I feel like you're really in agreement with what she was saying. So the next question I feel like is such a stereotype, but I want to get your opinion on it. This person says, most people are scared of having a female boss because they believe most of them tend to be strict, especially to female folks. How do we explain that?
Okay, I'll address that. So I had a boss who I thought was mean. But because I had a purpose, because I was focused, I didn't allow her meanness to get to me. I literally used to piss her off because I would go to her and say, oh, is there anything I can do for you? And it's like, no, go away, But, I kept telling people that if you have a focus or a purpose or a reason why you are at that job or on that job, then no one would easily take you off track. So it's really, I think Mommy had said something about, it's really about yourself. It doesn't, to be honest, I felt more sorry for her than I felt for myself because I wasn't angry, she was, so I mean, I always like to look at things practically. Yes, it's possible that female bosses are more nasty, but I don't think that should affect you. I think you should be able to focus on what, your real focus is at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely to what you just said because I had a boss like that. And I showed up at work with a smile on my face every day. And I think after like 9 months, she was like, oh my gosh, this child is not normal. And she noticed it didn't bother me anymore. And I feel like it was more my mindset than hers. So I definitely agree with what you had to say. I'm sorry, I think someone else was trying to add a comment. I'm not sure who.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's something to be said about we, the younger generation of female leaders, being empathetic for the older female bosses. They get a bad rep around the fact that they're mean, they're more strict. But the truth is, for them to climb through the corporate ladder and break the ceilings that we can now walk through easily, they went through a lot. They've become combative because, the workplace was a lot harsher for them than it is for us now. And I think there's room to be empathetic about that. But then at the same time say, okay, fine, I may not have the most amazing role models in terms of female leadership. How do I make sure that I'm not growing up into the same prototype? I've got better opportunities. I have the position and the opportunity to lead from a place of authenticity and empathy. A lot of senior female leaders never had that opportunity. You couldn't talk about your child at work. You barely took maternity leave. Nobody wanted to know about your life. You probably maybe didn't even have support, but we have that. And there's room to say, let's reframe this narrative. Fine, they've got different things going on for them. We're a different breed. We can be our authentic selves as leaders and lead from a place of empathy. And I find that the more you do that, I'm sure nobody in my company thinks I'm a mean person or that I'm a terrible female boss. But leading from a place of empathy and having that understanding that there's enough room for other women. I need to nurture more women, as opposed to before, where it was competition. It's 10 men and 1 woman. I'm the only woman who must go through. That time is gone. But we have to be empathetic about people who lived it and realize that their mindset was shaped a lot by an environment that doesn't exist for us today.
I also like to comment on that as well.
Okay.
If you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I'd like to play the devil's advocate a little and ask a couple of questions. So is it possible that the female boss is not actually projecting nastiness or meanness? Is it possible that when a woman is seen as more aggressive or more demanding, it's then perceived as being nasty or mean? And really, I think generally as an employee, one of the things that we should focus on is really adding value. Women are very intuitive. They may be harsher in their expectations, especially if they've gotten where they have by sheer hard work and sheer resilience. But if you as an employee show up adding value, you show up just bringing it to the table, I think that female bosses are actually one of the most intuitive ones and one of the ones to actually spot talents very easily. So just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Agreed.
Sorry, Zina, I wanted to just,
Go
can I
ahead.
add something?
Yes,
So I just wanted to add, I think for me, there are two sides to this conversation. First of all, from like the older generation and from the younger generation. So from the younger generation, one thing I would say is I belong to this generation, and I've watched the way some of my colleagues have interacted with like older people. There's something about when you meet someone in a certain space, there's almost like an unspoken level of respect you have to accord to them, which is very important. Secondly is we take ownership a lot. We're very ambitious. We're very strong. We come on very strongly. And sometimes when you have two strong personalities in the room, you need to apply emotional intelligence and maturity. I think that's also something that, we the younger generation needs to apply as well. Because I remember, I started the job, I had this boss who was just female. She was powerful. I admired her before I got into the workforce, right? Into that workforce. And when I started working like under, she was just so, to me, she was so mean. She was so intense. She would make me cry. But I remember my mom told me something. She was like, have you tried to really understand her? Have you tried to communicate with her? Do you understand her expectations from you? Do you think you're being you think it's too personal? Do you think you're being too emotional about things? Do you really want to be beautiful? You like to be more realistic about things, So I think there are certain ways to have conversations with older people. For the older generation as well, I think, there's a place of perceived complex as well. And I think it's very important to have these conversations, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. I've had a boss as well who was extremely mean to me. And even when I showed love to her, I don't think she really wanted that, you understand? For her, it was just, she's a competition. She's a small child. Where's she coming from? So at the end of the day, for me I think it's respecting the place of the older person, but also acknowledging the younger person, understanding that it's a learning curve for both parties as well, and knowing that, there's something to learn from each party. So I think that's my 1 cent to the conversation.
I'm sorry, can I add something as well?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so to me, I once had a conversation a few weeks ago with some persons, and I see no reason why women should be able to serve men and be reluctant to serve women. Like, it makes no sense. If a man, if you say, because I had a conversation and I asked, and then the ladies were like, rather a guy shouts on them, they'll pick up his bag, they'll do whatever. But when it's a woman, it's different. I don't know if I should say that I'm very lucky, but I've worked with women and they've been very amazing. Like, I would even say my best bosses have been women, I've had them push me. I've had them, say to me that you can't. I mean, my most recent female boss, did compliment me a few times and say things like, oh, Sonia, you have the same bag I have. Are you sure you can work here? But it was all a passive comment. She said to me before, she's looked me at the face and has said, Sonia, I stopped here. I got married. I had kids. I wasn't able to do all this. I want you to get all of that. And so just like the other panelists said, it's not me trying to play the devil's advocate, but sometimes it might just be, because it's not easy. Men are a bit more wired to be straightforward. They have their boxes, work, life, this and that. Women, a woman, I feel like working with a woman should be a lot more, like we should be more understanding. When she's off in a day, you get off. We all get off. I mean, there's this day when everything just goes, whatever, it might be your period, whatever it is. Just a bit more tolerative, a bit more understanding, especially our generation, knowing that it's not even easy to succeed as a woman to start with. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think I'm going to take about 2 or 3 more questions, after which we're going to just round up our conversation. And so my second to the last question will go to Ms. Tina. And the question is, do you think the media is constantly focusing on the workplace inequality between men and women? And is the media making it worse and giving women the mindset of inferiority? Someone in an audience just asked that.
Sorry, I beg your pardon?
The question was for Tina.
Okay.
And the question is, do you think the media is making it worse when they constantly focus on the workplace inequality between men and women?
Yes, absolutely. So what I always say is we need to make sure we don't get it twisted. I believe what I fight for, or what I advocate for, is inclusion, please, in a professional setting, treated as an equality professionally from what I believe is the dynamics at home. And the media in general may contribute to the younger generation getting a wrong perception of the feminist role. I absolutely agree, and I'm an advocate for gender equality in this. I want asking for favors or for to be treated friendly. Can you still hear me, or did I get disconnected?
Yeah, we can.
You're in and out, but we can hear you.
Can you still hear me, or did I get disconnected?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. So yes, I completely agree. The social media is given too much press. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. So now that we have 10 more minutes, I feel like the panelists, you all have sort of an idea of what the audience is asking. You know, some of the questions are, I guess for people who just joined in, are kind of repetitive in the sense of someone just asked, how do you stand out in a male-dominated career in terms of gender inequality? A lot of people are speaking on that. People are asking about managing emotions in a toxic environment for women. So just to round up, because we only have about 10 minutes, I just want to talk to each panelist, and if you can just give us 30 seconds, 15 seconds, your own advice to the young participants here today. Starting with Hilda, please.
Cool. I think for me, my advice, which is what I've followed on my leadership journey, is to lead from a place of authenticity. I think as a woman, and Tina mentioned it earlier, your biggest asset is your intuition. And you need to know when you're not being authentic, because it's going to show. And this does not mean you must be a given type of woman. I think we also fall into the trap of having a single story for what a career woman looks like. Some people really love hanging with their children, in which case you have to realize that you're going to need to find the kind of support or workplace that allows you to spend more time with your children. Some people, like me, feel nothing if you're not with your child, right? In which case the thing becomes, is a nanny at home fine? Like, I never call my nanny during the day. Like, I know I'll get home. If there's a problem, they'll call me. I don't call them. And I'm happy with that. And I've built my support structure so that it's that way. At the same time, I'm naturally a very empathetic person. I think if you've done MBTI, I qualify as a feeler, big F. And at work, rather than pretend to be this strict person, following my logic, not smiling, I lead from authenticity. When I don't know something, I say, hey guys, I don't know, please teach me. When I'm sad, everybody will know I'm sad, and I'll share, hey, I've had a really tough day. This is what happened to the management team. When I'm excited, it shows. When people are dancing, I dance. So rather than create this persona in your head of what a female leader should be, or look and say, oh, what female leaders of the past have been, the fact that you've gotten it to where you are on your leadership journey means that you've got strengths within you that if you continue to leverage, they're going to take you places. Don't ignore those strengths in pursuit of a persona that doesn't exist. Look within you, your skill set is within you, your strengths are within you. And if you live authentically and lead authentically, you'll get much farther than you will if you're pretending to be something that you're not.
Thank you so much for your feedback. I feel like you kind of touched all the area points we've been discussing, and so I appreciate that. Next, we have Ambassador Sonia. If you can just give us your own final advice to the audience today.
Oh, thank you very much. My advice would be, have I met women who haven't lived up to, let me say, my own expectation of what I thought, would happen for me in terms of support? Yes. Do I pay attention to them? No. I pay attention to the positive ones. I try to be more positive. I see it as a learning curve. Like, this is what I do not want to do. However, I always go by the mantra, if you get to give, and if you learn, teach. So if maybe because I've gotten a lot of support, I would want to give a lot of, I would, by God's grace, give a lot of support. As I've been taught freely, I'm going to teach freely as well. So that's my own. Just live your truth. Believe in yourself. Like, I don't know how to say that. Like, believe in yourself. I used to think, oh, everybody had to try and, don't know. Just believe in you and just keep going. Follow your purpose. For me, it's God first. I think it should be for everybody else. But yeah, believe in that thing, purpose, passion, and give back. That's all. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Sonia. Next is Ibijoke. If you can just round up for us and give us your own advice based off of all the things we've been discussing.
Yeah, sure. I think for me, I would say be intentional about your growth, invest in yourself, take ownership. Excellence would always prevail. That's one thing I believe. And also, I think one thing we haven't talked about a lot is remember to have a life outside work. When I had the down times and when I went through the tough times, just having friends, just having a life, loving wine and food and a lot of things really helped me. So that work is not just everything, because when that fails, then you go through a period of depression and stagnancy. So that's very important. Then invest in your relationship. They say your network is your net worth. Grow, be very conscious. The older you get, you have to secure your tribe. You have to protect your energy. And also, for me, the last thing is social media can be a blessing and a curse. So leverage it to grow, your tribe, to grow your relationships and amplify your voice. And then ignore the white noise. Not everything projected on social media is true. You need to be able to separate that as well. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I like that you were being very honest, because a lot of people just assume or portray that it's just work, and don't speak about that balance there. So I feel like that was very important for you to point out to us. Thank you again. Next for me is Mobola, please.
Okay, thank you. I think Ibijoke really said a lot of things that I had in mind, but I'll say building a career as a woman is definitely not easy, and work-life balance, finding a work-life balance is also not easy. But I'll say find a coping mechanism that works for you. It's very important because we're all different and we all know what works for us. But most importantly, I would say as women, dare to live, dare to dream, dare to be successful, and dare to live a purpose-filled life, basically. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think you're the winner with the quotes and the sayings with this, because I've just been taking mental notes. Like, yes, thank you. We appreciate that so much. And next on the list is Amomi, please.
Well, so everyone has pretty much said very good things, but one thing I will say is what I'll say to people is find what you love, what you're passionate about, and do that thing. It's, there's something you achieve when you're doing what you're passionate, what you have, what you feel strongly about. But while you're doing that, because some people might say, well, I don't know how to make money from my passion. While you're doing that, if you feel, okay, this is not making me money, don't be scared to also do other things and still put your excellence into those, into those things that you're doing on the side while you're building your dream. But just know that, you can do whatever you put your mind into, you can do it, you can succeed, you can excel. And I just believe that people should, believe more in themselves. I see a lot of people in Nigeria that don't really believe in themselves. I want people to have more belief in themselves. And once you have that in yourself, I think the sky is just the beginning for you. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Thank you so much. And last but certainly not the least is Tina. Please, if you can give us your own insights and feedback.
I think for me, it is first, as an individual, add value. As an individual, differentiate yourself, and always think, how can I be remembered in whatever you do. Build your own brand, and make sure that whatever you stand for is remembered and is projected in everything that you do. I think that's it for me.
Thank you so much to all my panelists today. And for people who joined in late, we were just talking about, career pathing for the future. We're speaking to the 21st century professional woman, and we're giving we're teaching about opportunities for growth, giving advice and giving tips on how to navigate the job industry. And I hope, from speaking to us all today, we've all learned a thing or two. We've all taken a quote or two. I sure have taken about 4 or 5 quotes from here. And yes, so my name is Zina Anumidu, and we've just concluded the Creating Path for the Future session at the Jobberman Virtual Career Fair 2020. Thank you all so much, especially to my panelists. You've been great. You've made my job so easy because you were all just being so interactive, and I really do appreciate that. And that's one thing about women. We always, support each other and help each other when we can. And so I'm very happy for having all of you here today. And I think this is my time. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.